everybody, this is Sherry at djsunder.blogspot.com, and today I have another animal card for you to work on our set of 8. So this is kind of a fun one, and I've done something similar, only the other one I was just doing one and it was in a lot more detail and it was a lot of fun. And this one's a little more simple. I'm mass producing these. I'm doing 4 sets of 8 cards each, so I need to have something a little more quick that I can make but still be cute. So today we're going to show you a quick card that is still cute. So I'm using the Cricut Animal Kingdom cartridge, and I'm using the Alligator on page 117. Now I used the regular Alligator feature and the shift feature to go with that, and then I also used the border feature and part of the shift feature, and we'll talk about that later. Now on both of these cuts, the way it worked out to fit the card that I wanted to make, each of them were cut at 1 1/4 inches, even though it will be different the way the card's done. That the way it worked out for this particular cut, it's 1 1/4. Now I'm sure that if you've seen my videos, you've heard me mention before that I always cut my Cricut cuts, not always, but usually cut my Cricut cuts on plain white inexpensive cardstock that I get by the ream at Walmart. It was just the Georgia Pacific, and it's good cardstock, but it's less expensive than using your color cardstock. And the reason I do that is because I want to know what sizes I'm dealing with before I make them. So let's get started on our card. I'm using several different things. From Kendra Designs, I will be using this set of stamps. This is the Pirate Scales and Fish Tails set of stamps, and I'm using a few things on this one, or well, 2. I'm using the C, which you could combine with other things, and then I'm using You Later Alligator, and I'm combining those to make one sentiment that says see you later alligator. So it's just kind of a hello type card, or I'll see you later, that kind of thing. And that's what I'm using of that. Now I have this paper from Paper Pizzazz, hot off the press, and this is the Pool Water, and it's a 12 by 12 paper, and I used some of that, and I'll show that to you in a few minutes. Love that paper. And then I have this set from the Cypress collection from the paper company, and I'm actually using 3 separate colors out of this one. I'm using this yellow, which I'm sure there's a glare there. Maybe I'll just pull this out. I'm using this yellow, and then I'm using this green, and then this kind of, it's not really craft, but it's close to a craft color, and I'm using those 3 colors. And then I had some green thin paper from my stash that I'm also using. So let's get started on our card. Now I've already cut my card, and I'm doing the standard A2 size card, and that's what I'm using, the yellow. I want these to be really fun and colorful, and something you would want to send your kids or your grandkids or someone who was fun loving. So I've already got all my pieces out cut and ready to go. And so let's start with the inside, just because it's the simplest way to do it. Now when you cut the border on this one, if you're cutting just the regular feature, it attaches all 3 of them, and you could just leave it at that, but I didn't realize how much of the green, even though I had cut them in the white to measure the size, I hadn't tried layering them all together, and I didn't realize how much of the bottom layer was covered with the top layer. And when you cut out the top layer, it doesn't cut them all together. I mean, it cuts them all at the same time, but it separates them out. So I just chose to use 2 of the brighter, it's almost a lime green, and so that my main alligator, the large alligator, is still the darker green out of that Cypress collection. So I've already adhered them together and put them on sticker paper just to speed up the process. And we're just going to set that on the inside. Now that's all I'm doing on the inside. I just like that it just finishes it off and gives it a nice little finish touch, but there's still plenty of room for you to write a sentiment. So that's going to be the inside. So let's move on to the front of the card. Now to cut this piece, I cut this piece at 4 inches wide by 5¼ inches, well, 4 inches tall by 5¼ inches wide, because this card's going to open up like this. And then I took this piece, and I think I cut it at about 2 inches, and I just kind of wanted to see what size my alligator would fit on there. And I just cut that out of the pool water. So the first thing we're going to do is attach those 2 layers together. Now, this is another quick little tip. I am going to stamp my sentiment because I know pretty much where it's going to go on this card. And I like to try to stamp my sentiment first so that if I make a mistake, I haven't wasted this piece of paper and this piece of paper. I can just flip the paper over or do something. So I like to stamp my sentiment on as little, as early in the process as I can before layers are combined, so that if there is a mistake, there's less waste. I'm just using a black ink pad, my Old Faithful Black Excelsior ink pad, to ink that up. And I am going to move this right up in the corner. And let me just move it down where I can see it to line it up perfect. And we're just going to stamp it down. And I know based on what my card is that this is going to be okay. Now I could have put these a little bit closer together, but I didn't this time. So see, it says, "See you later, alligator." Such a bright, crisp image, and I really appreciate that about the stamps from K. Andrew Designs. And I've tried some other brands, and I have to say that I've been disappointed in some of the brands of stamps that I've had, and there's nothing disappointing about the stamps from K. Andrew Designs. Plus, she donates a portion to charity, so that's a real good thing as well. All right, so now we have our blue paper, and now I have this ribbon, and I'm not sure where this came from. I suspect it came from this primary ribbon scrap pack that I got from the Paper Studio. I picked that up at Hobby Lobby, and it just came in a large pack of just an assorted ribbon. It was a nice way to buy a good assortment. But I am going to make a bow. In this card, there's a lot of what you would consider white space up in the upper right hand corner, and I really thought about adding something to that, and I couldn't decide what I wanted. I suppose I could add a button or something to it, like I did on the first card, but I just decided I'm just going to leave the space white. Now I have a hard time tying bows. If you've seen my videos, you know that. And it's even worse if I'm on camera. So let's see if I can pull this one off. If not, I'll just turn off the camera and do it. Sometimes just trying to keep it in the frame and tie it doesn't work so well. But actually, this one did okay. So now I've got my scissors here, and I'll trim up the tails the way I want to. Really ravelly. You could probably use maybe some glossy accents or something to kind of keep that nice and from unraveling. I cut it at an angle and hope that it'll last as long as the card does. So now we've got that. Now before I adhere my alligator, I'm going to go ahead and put it onto the card base, just because it's a little bit, the less dimension I have when I'm trying to attach it to the card base, the better. And it's just, I'm always afraid of, if I'm putting dimension on something, I hate the thought of smashing it down while I'm trying to attach it. So let's go ahead and just adhere that on. Just get it centered just by eyeballing it. That's all I do. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect, but it's still special. Okay, now here's my alligator. Now I cut 3 layers of this alligator, and I kind of wish I had mixed it up a little bit because I forgot that most of that darker green layer is hidden. I cut the bottom layer with the same base color as this because I wanted to tie that in, and you just barely see that. That's the shadow layer. Again, I cut that at 1 1/4 inches. And then using the same green that's on the inside of the card, let's go back to that. This dark green, that's what I cut the regular layer, and then using the shift feature, I cut the lime green layer. If I was doing it again, I would probably do it the other way around. But anyway, so now I've already added foam tape to the back. Give it just a little dimension. Hopefully not enough that you have to pay extra postage, but you may have to pay a little bit extra. Okay, now the other thing that I did before I turned on the camera is I took my little white Sakura gel pen, or it's this little Uniball gel pen, and it's the Signo white gel pen, and I drew in his teeth because this particular cartridge, the teeth don't cut. You see the outlines for the teeth, but the teeth don't cut, and probably because it's such a small cut, such a fine cut. And so I went ahead and colored in his teeth just to make them noticeable. Now I'm going to take my Midnight Stickles and add his little eyeballs. Just reminds me, it's not quite black. I don't have any black stickles or black perfect pearls or anything. But I just like to add that little, it reminds me of black beady eyes. But hopefully he doesn't look too frightening. All right, so this is our card. See you later, Alligator. And then plenty of room to write inside. Bright and cheerful and fun. I think anybody would enjoy getting this, but especially a kid. So thanks for watching and have a great day.